How hard does the Mighty Wind push you? We all know that the Mighty Wind slowly pushes you left or right depending on wind direction in a sandstorm. But how fast is this movement exactly, and what does it depend on? This video is all about the Mighty Wind mechanic, and while small, there's actually plenty to talk about. By default, if you're just standing still on the ground, the Mighty Wind will constantly push you with an acceleration of 0.06 pixels per tick squared, or roughly 8.23 meters per second squared, or 18.408 miles per hour per second. This is equal to exactly 75% of the base acceleration of a Terraria player, so this is pretty powerful. Note, though, that this is purely acceleration, not velocity. The Mighty Wind does nothing to affect your top running speed. Walking either against or with the wind eventually gets you to the same top speed, but the time it takes to get to that speed is what changes. That is the acceleration working against or with you. However, despite that, the Mighty Wind itself still has a top speed. After all, if you're standing still, the Mighty Wind won't just keep accelerating you in one direction. So if you aren't doing anything, the wind alone will never accelerate you past 0.06 pixels per tick, or 0.3 miles per hour. This quote top wind speed is the same speed you would reach after one tick of being accelerated by it, and it is what you experience when just idle in the wind. That is just the Mighty Wind's base power though. It can be further strengthened or weakened by three factors: wind speed, movement status, and vertical mobility. If the weather wind speed is greater than 25 miles per hour, the Mighty Wind becomes 37% stronger. This is obviously to replicate the power of a stronger, faster wind. Then, if you're moving yourself, that is holding left or right on your keyboard or controller, the wind becomes 20% weaker. This is to make moving through the Mighty Wind slightly less painful, and possibly to replicate the effect of, quote, fighting against the wind. Lastly, if you're moving vertically, that is either airborne or climbing a slope, the Mighty Wind becomes a whopping 50% stronger. This effect was likely added to simulate how much stronger the wind would feel if you were in the air or running up a cliff. All of these effects combine multiplicatively, affecting both the wind's acceleration and the wind's own, quote, max speed. Here is a chart if you want it for some reason. Looking at all these possibilities, you'll notice that if you're airborne and the wind speed is greater than 25 miles an hour, the acceleration of the wind is actually greater than your player's base acceleration. This means without accessories or buffs, the wind should actually push you backwards, even if you're running against it. Luckily, this doesn't happen due to a change in the Mighty Wind made in 1.4. If you're holding down A or D, the Mighty Wind's acceleration is hard capped at 0.072 pixels per tick squared, or 90% of your player's base acceleration. This makes being pushed back while running against the wind basically impossible unless you have some slowness debuff, making it a whole lot less frustrating. This change was definitely welcome considering how frustrating the Mighty Wind was back during the days of 1.3. Back in 1.3, not only was the Mighty Wind stronger, having a base acceleration of 0.07 pixels per tick squared versus 0.06, it was also not capped as mentioned previously. This meant that it was almost impossible to accelerate against the wind if it was stronger than 25 miles an hour, even when grounded, and if you were airborne, the wind would always push you backwards unless you have movement buffs. If you remember getting hung up on jumps like this during sandstorms in 1.3, this is why. The acceleration while airborne was simply that powerful back then. Let's just say I'm thankful this is no longer an issue. So that is the power of the Mighty Wind. Numerically, it's actually a relatively strong force, though it's still not enough to stop the player after 1.4. It's noticeable, but not really a nuisance, especially once you get movement gear like the Magiluminescence or Lightning Boots. Overall, I think it's a solid 4 out of 10. Hello, if you found this enjoyable, consider subscribing, as just a fourth of you are. Similar videos ought to be on the left or right. Either way though, thank you for watching, and good day and goodbye. See you next week.